make sure when the opportunity presents itself, say this is what we do every day, all right? And then you guys can't represent 2,000 players. You're not going to help with the girlfriend and the grandmother and finding places for alcohol treatment and helping players say no. Most importantly, helping players make good decisions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what we do. So if you do have the opportunity, stand up and say, look, this is what we do. And be proud of what we've done as a profession, and be proud of what y'all do as individuals. Because that, as much as it's redundant, they need to hear it. They really do. All right? And I think that part of it is they did learn last year by passing unilaterally the whole testing deal, and the shit show it became, that they have to learn to at least, hopefully, listen to us when we make decisions.
As an attorney, when I go into negotiation, I always think about what leverage do I have to get the best deal. Short of filing a lawsuit against the PA, what leverage do we really have as agents against them at this point?
Well, Peter Ginsburg's here, and he's going to give a little presentation in a second. And obviously, it's, as I think it was Harry S. Truman said, walk softly and carry a big Ginsburg. I think that was his quote. And that would be our sort of, if we have to go that direction, where we would go. Obviously, with the collective bargaining agreement coming up in 2020, 2021, it doesn't do anybody good if they can't work together, because that would be an ultimate fracture, and management would love nothing better. But at the same time, we can't let our industry go into the toilet. And if there are not procedural changes, then we do have options. And there are some hawks in the room that would like to do that. But we also think that it's best or most incumbent right now to see if the Players Association will follow through on the positive tone from today. Peter.
Are the agents who are representing the player reps having a conversation with them, and are we talking on from the same script? And a lot of agents I talk to don't even know that their players are a rep for their team sometimes.
We encourage everybody to talk to you. If you have a player rep, we have two. And two of those guys are now, one is Lorenzo Alexander, who, remember 3 years ago, is 180-degree different. We've now talked. He's seen the work that we've done. He's still playing at age 36. And he's completely changed. So, we've had these conversations, and it is incumbent upon everybody to talk to your player reps, whether you have 1 or 5 or 10, and educate them as to what's going on, why this matters. And when the subject comes up, Christina Phillips, she's got 3 reps, and she's on them all the time. And so if you do have a rep, those are the votes. They say there's going to be 150 players at this meeting next week, so that's 5 a team. Certainly everybody in this room should have a bunch of reps.
Where's that meeting?
We're told it's in Miami. Yes, ma'am?
I've been doing this for 30 years, and I do not give players any money for anything, okay? So I want to know how many people in this room are giving players money. Will you raise your hand?
What do you mean money?
So here's my question. We talked about this on the phone. What I'm saying, are you giving them money for training? Are you giving them money to live? Because that's the problem. That's why there's people going out of business. I've been able to do this for 30 years because I don't give them money. If they want it, I say no.
Never spent dollars.
I do not give. I don't pay for training. I have them stay at their university. And I'll tell you why. Because they leave money on the table. If they get out of school, then they leave their scholarship. Why would you do that? Would you tell your kid to give up their scholarship? They can keep their scholarship money and get a master's even if they graduate. There's a weight room there with better facilities. There, if you're at a school where they have the money, they have a nutritionist, they have a trainer, and all the teams have to come there to train them. Why would anybody have them go anywhere else to train? It makes no sense.
No, they won't go with you.
I have 4 players, all who are training at their schools, so yes, they will. But you have to educate them. I've been educating them for years. That if you want to do that, that's fine, but I feel like it's a bad business model. What about the kid who gets hurt or has an injury you don't know about that they find out at the combine, and all of a sudden you're losing money? Unless you've got a really tight agreement that they're going to have to pay it back. But if they don't get assigned most, they don't have any money to pay it back. Or where Peter and I talked about another situation where a kid doesn't like the agent, they made some kind of a deal with the guy, and the guy wanted his 60 grand back. Well, the kid didn't even get drafted. So I'm saying as a community, we have to stop providing any kind of money for the players. If we all do that, it's fine. But the minute one person does do it, it's over. You see what I'm saying? That's where I see the bigger problem is. Then if you want to agree with 1.5%, you can, because you're not paying, you don't have a bunch of out-of-pocket expenses. That's my message, Peter, and it might be different than everybody else in this room, but I really feel like that's the message. Because I had a player this year say, well, I want 20 grand. I'm like, you're a punter, I'm not giving you 20 grand. Go with the other person.
Right.
Go right ahead, I don't care.
I think the message should not be about the actual inducement as much as it should be about making them make decisions based upon proper criteria, when you, like Pat was talking about. Pick your agent, and it,
I gotta go. I would like to stay for the whole thing, so somebody can just tell me what else you say. I do have some.
I mean, here, all the PA has to do is enforce their own regulations. Regulations, just like Heather got up last year and said they've always had the right to do this house. They've always had that right. It's been in the regulations for years. They've never done it until last year. Okay?
well, everybody.
So I know people are upset. In the regulations, in the SRA, no inducements. Every single thing that she just talked about are inducements. And it all started 20 years ago when Gene Upshaw allowed Tom Condon and his company to give inducements. They said, well, they're not inducements. Well, guess what? When you're talking to a kid in college and you're saying, look, we'll give you $5,000 a month. Well, the next guy comes along, we'll give you $10,000 a month. Every one of those conversations is an inducement before they've ever left college. And so if the PA would just enforce their own regulations or do what baseball does. Baseball has a cap. Years ago, it was $500 per player. Is it still $500?
Yeah.
So why the hell are you allowing $35,000 to $40,000 in this agreement? Why not limit it to $5,000, $25,000? I mean, you all are just going along with what everybody's been doing for 20 years. And you know, we've been doing it. I mean, just like Joe, I've been doing this since '82. I've never paid a player either. But I won't compete for a college kid because all of these guys, well, we'll give you $5 grand, we'll give you 25. It's insanity. It's not a business model. So just cut out all monies to players and have the union enforce it.
All right, so Steve, no, those are all great points. And we'd be happy to do that. Now, we sent, as everybody knows, we sent out the offer that we received this year. We've had a $25,000 signing bonus on it. Now, we don't pick out names, and we're not calling out any names of any agents. That offer has now been presented to the union. And so I'd be happy if people ask the union tomorrow what happened to that.
But I talked to people, when I talked to Harold Lewis, for example, last year or 2 years ago, he thought getting 25 was great. And I said, Harold, baseball's $500. Why are you caving in and agreeing with 25? Well, there's other people paying 50. So I think it's a win. There are people in this room, if you're just starting a business, you can't afford $500 for 5 kids. You're just starting out. And you can't compete in this business. It's a horrible business model. And what you're talking about and what Pat Dye talked about and getting your percentages, that all is related to veteran contract negotiations. The whole problem with the system is the PA has caved in, and now there is not a single player in the draft that needs an agent to negotiate his contract. Okay, you know darn well, and Ralph started contract negotiations. That's how players decided on an agent. Who could get on the best contract? So now as rookies, the only thing you sell as an agent, well, we're going to outspend the other guys, so come with us. Well, that's all bullshit. It has nothing to do with the job they're going to do. And that's how these players are making decisions.
Right.
And the whole business is broken. And if you could put everybody's foot down, and I'm sure everybody would be behind, because if everybody's on the same level playing field, and you cap expenses, I don't know, $1,000 per player. You know, what she said is right. Training at school, there are players that do that. And I just don't understand why you, and it's the speed coaches that created this nightmare 20 years ago, and now they have exclusive with certain agents. And that's how the whole thing has snowballed. And it is insanity to have agents out there giving 50 grand, 60 grand, 15,000 is insane. Okay, because you can't get the money back. And if you keep the player, you're very, very lucky if you keep him for a second contract. Okay, because most of them are going to leave. So how are you getting your money back then?
But I personally think that what we need to do tomorrow, like I said, the inducement that we sent to the union, and I didn't send it, but they got it from 3 other agents, specifically said $25,000 to sign. Signing bonus. All right? I think I sent it to everybody. They have that. All right? So I think the people in this room have to ask, well, we don't, what the regs are just arbitrary is who's enforcing them. It specifically says that we would not do that. Now we have not heard any response as to what's happened to that agent, or if anything's happened, or if the union is doing anything.
Let me ask you one question. Are the training agreements that you're talking about referring to, are those standardized?
We would like to make the same.
Okay, because they never have been. And I've read every one of Roger Kaplan's opinion. Okay, he's an arbitrary arbitrator. He makes a different ruling every day. The same set of facts, every ruling is different. The U.S. House of Representatives demanded that the NFLPA in 2006 change their regulations and appoint additional arbitrators for Section 5 grievances besides Roger Kaplan. Look at the rate. 2 additional arbitrators will be appointed. Since 2006, the only arbitrator that's heard Section 5 cases is Roger Kaplan. Okay? Look it up. They've had a couple of disciplines with somebody else. That's because I sued the union. Okay, so I got rid of Kaplan from my cases. But I will tell you, the second thing they did was the rules that happen in an arbitration with Roger Kaplan, supposedly. You're supposed to follow the American Arbitration Association rules. That's what the U.S. House of Representatives insisted. Those 2 changes. Those 2 changes have been window dressing. Kaplan continues to be the only arbitrator. And at a hearing that I had for a client 2 years ago, we tried to object to things, we tried to ask questions. Kaplan said, no, 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 objection. Roger, what are you basing this on? My rules. Well, what about the American Arbitration Association rules? He goes, I don't follow those. I follow my own rules. I've been doing this 25 years. So he doesn't follow those rules. I called the AAA. They said, well, if the arbitrators aren't appointed through us, then they don't have to follow our rules. So it's a completely broken system.
What are you asking for?
Well, I'm saying, number one, Roger Kaplan is the biggest pain in the ass for everybody in this room. That's the first thing. But he doesn't follow his own opinions. There have to be rules, and they're in the regulations. There will be additional arbitrators that they'll follow the AAA rules, and that's not being enforced.
Well, I think what we need to do is keep our eyes involved and focus on what are the big issues, and it's the inducement, and find ways to truly eradicate those.
I'll predict this right now. If we don't band together as agents, there will be no football in 2021. Because D. Smith, for the past 2 years, has stood up, and the writers have asked him at the Super Bowl, how are you preparing? He crosses his arms and says, we're preparing for war. We're preparing for war. He's taking heat for the CBA from the last time. And as agents, we don't talk to the player reps, which is exactly what you all just finished saying. And us as agents have a voice at the bargaining table. The players are going to get shut out. And they will not overcome it because D. Smith has his own agenda to get back at the owners for how they got over on him. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but that's my take on it. And it's a shame.
I think that, again, we have to focus on what can we really accomplish, all right? And I think you're absolutely right.
Get a seat at the bargaining table for the CBA.
Okay, and that's what we're working on. All right, now the question is going to be one of 2 ways. Either they're going to work with us, or we're going to have to find litigation strategy to demand it. You know, those are the 2 alternatives. Right now, they've given us an indication that they're going to bring us in. Tom DePasso's also asked us, as a collaborative group, if you do have ideas for either CBA negotiations or union regulations, they want us to present them to the union. But we don't want to do it ad hoc. All right, we want to do it collect. If you have an idea, put it together, write a piece on it, present it, so that we can put it together as a book. You know, some ideas, and they can go from big to small, like getting rid of the guaranteed funding rules. All right, so that clubs can't use that as a way to block you for getting guaranteed money. Little things like making sure that players have health insurance when they sign as rookies. I mean, it can't cost that much money, but we're talking about health insurance for players that are draftable players, players don't have health insurance until the first Saturday of the season.
I've had no health insurance when they've been suspended by the league for marijuana.
No health insurance when
How
that's
sick is that?
correct. The other thing would be that we're looking into is finding a way to create some negotiations on the rookies. Because not only do we think that that would be good for obviously the agent community, because that would show our value, but it would also be good if you look at baseball right now. If the problem with baseball is the rookie players, the first, second, third year players are such great bargains that they're eliminating the middle class now. Yes, the Bryce Harpers are making $300 million, but they're what, 87 or 88 free agents still unsigned in baseball because rookies are just such a great value. It's a much more analytic game. And so we have to be able to show that if rookies are such a great value, that's where players are losing out. So we do believe that if we can somehow revamp the rookie wage scale in the next CBA, that would help not only keep more veteran players, but it would also allow us to do our job better.
One last thing on the training agreement. I know you talk about Roger Kaplan when he awards the agent. He doesn't even have the right to do any of that. If you actually will read the regulations, the word training agreements are nowhere in the SRA, and they're nowhere in the regulations. Kaplan has no authority to rule on any of that. And he's only been allowed to do it, I don't know why.
Well, and one other thing we have, I want to get to everybody, would be that if you do get an arbitration award from Roger, that we're allowed to garnish that money directly from a team. That's another idea that we have, because it's the biggest pain in the butt. You go get an award from Roger, then you have to domesticate it in New Jersey or Washington or whatever. Why can the NFLPA take out their union dues every week or every 52 weeks? Sorry about that. But every 52 weeks, and yet we can't take out a garnishment where we have to go to the arbitration tribunal to get our award.